Hi everyone, this is Lori here from Lori Hooks. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So today I am doing the spring fling questions, and I was tagged to do this by Lori over at Cloudy Nook Crochet. So if you haven't checked out Lori, please give her a check out. Hi Lori. So these are just some spring questions to do with where we live and what we like to do in spring and stuff like that. It's not really crochet related. There is a little bit of crochet relation in here, but not a lot. So let's get started on the questions. So question 1, what do you like to do in the spring? So in the spring here, I just tend to like to go outside. After a long, tends to be very cold winter, once the weather breaks and we start to get some spring, I just like to be outside. And that's whether that's going for a walk, sitting outside in a lawn chair reading. Well, I don't read that often anymore. I used to read a lot, but reading, crocheting. Sometimes I work outside when the weather's warm enough, but not too hot. You know, you get that comfort level. That kind of thing. That's what I tend to do in spring. What is your favorite spring flower? Now, not much of a flower person or gardener, but when spring first hits here, the daffodils and the tulips come up, and I get really excited for that. That's the spring sign, and that's what I'm looking for. So I would say my favorite spring flower is tulips because of the bright colors. Daffodils, I like yellow, but the tulips come in all different colors, and I think they're very pretty, and they last a little bit longer than daffodils do, I think. So what's your favorite thing about spring? I think just finally that the weather is starting to change. Winter here can be very long. I live in southern Ontario, Canada. So just here it just feels like winter is really long. The lack of sun, the overcast. This year especially, we haven't had a lot of sun this winter. Now a lot of sun in the winter usually means that it's really cold. The clouds are up really high, or we don't have any, which means that usually it's very cold outside when it's really sunny. It might feel nice like sitting in the car having the sun on you, just because you know, the heat gets into the car that way. And here I am talking more about winter than spring, but winter gets to be really long. So in the spring, I'm just looking forward to that weather turning, and everything upside brightening up, like the leaves coming out, the grass coming out, the green, the pretty look and all that kind of stuff, just for the dreary to go away. What is the weather like in your area? So kind of heard about winter. It's cold, it's overcast. In the spring, spring's kind of a funny thing. Like, we get spring-ish days, and then it tends to go backwards. Like, you get, you know, it's cold, very cold, and then you'll get like a couple warmer spring days that you think, oh, spring's coming, and then bang, it's cold again, it's snowing, it's gross, and then you'll get a few more springy days. That some years it kind of feels like you skip spring and it goes right into summer. So sometimes spring's kind of a lacking season, but that's kind of what spring's like here. Also, spring's, for me anyways, is a very bad allergy season. Although I'd like to spend more time outside enjoying it, sometimes I do feel restricted because my allergies tend to kick in as soon as the grass comes out and the trees start to bloom. My allergies kick in, so it's either you be allergy medicated, which I don't really like taking allergy meds every day, or you suffer through it, or you don't go outside. Now, sometimes being in the house doesn't help either because the windows are open and it's all coming in anyways. But that's the fault of spring. When do you start a garden? I don't garden. My husband does garden. He likes to work in the yard. I do not. I like to sit outside and enjoy it. I don't like working in the yard. I don't I don't really like getting my hands dirty. I will, if he asks me for help, I will help him. But it's not something that I enjoy doing. And I know some people really enjoy gardening, like my husband enjoys gardening. So I leave it up to him. I will sit outside and keep him company, or, you know, that kind of thing. He'll talk to me about the garden. I tend to drift off a little bit when he does that, because gardening's not really something I enjoy very much. I do enjoy looking at the flowers when he plants flowers and stuff like that. We have tried to have a vegetable garden in the past. We've had a small vegetable garden a few years in the summer, but we tend to not get any of the fruits from our labor because the squirrels and whatever get to it. So in the last few years, we have not had a vegetable garden. Oh, and if he does start a garden, you generally can't plant here until, we call it May 2-4 weekend, so that's Victoria Day weekend. I believe that's the third Monday in May is the holiday, and that's usually around the time for planting where we live. At that point, you're not likely to have frost in the overnight, so it's, you know, whatever you plant there will make it through. Do you celebrate Easter? Yes, I do. We get the Friday off, the Good Friday off of work, so we don't work on the Friday. So the weekend, so Easter weekend, it's kind of changed over the years. Excuse me, in my younger years, when my grandmother was still alive, I used to go to my grandmother's for Easter. Sometimes my parents would go, but not always. But I used to, once my grandmother wasn't as well, we used to make a dinner of ham and scalloped potatoes. Like, I would prep it at home and then take it to her house and cook it at my grandmother's house and eat there. My brother and his family would come when they were available. I remember bringing my husband's mother to her house one time for Easter. Since she passed, which was, I don't know, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago she passed, we haven't really done a lot for Easter. Now we've had 2 years in there where we didn't do much because of COVID, but we do make a dinner at home. I typically, for me, it's an excuse to have a turkey dinner because I like turkey, but that's how we celebrate Easter, is just to have some time together with family and have a dinner on the Sunday. The kids do have Monday off of school, but us working people, we don't. Do you crochet or knit anything special for spring? Well, this year I am, because I am doing my Hooked on Wreaths collaboration with Rebecca over at Yarn and Pajamas, and I am making a spring wreath for my home. Last year I crocheted an a bunny for Easter. He doesn't look very Easterish, but I made a bunny last year. I should have brought him down here to show, but I didn't. You might see him in the next few weeks if you keep an eye out on my channel. But I don't usually crochet anything specifically for spring. What is your favorite spring color? I don't know what my favorite would be. I generally like a lot of different colors. When I think of spring colors, I think of like pastel-y yellows, pinks, blues, greens, stuff like that. And I like all of those colors, especially mixed up together. So I can't really pick a favorite. I would say I like all of them. Do you spring clean? Good intentions to spring clean, but we don't usually. I have sometimes got my act together in the spring and done all the windows and those type of things, but generally I don't. Spring cleaning is kind of like a thing, like, do you spring cleaning the inside of your house? You finally get the cold to go away and it's nice and warm and now you're in your house cleaning? No, that's not what I'm doing. I might clean my windows because I can have them open wide and get them clean at that time. But as for cleaning out closets and all those kind of things in the spring, that's not happening. That's to me more of a fall chore. That's in the house. You're stuck in the house. You're trapped in here. So let's clean out the closets. That's to me not something I want to do in the spring. And number 10 is, do you go anywhere for spring break? No, we do not. My kids are, well, my daughter is actually on reading week right now. She is in her last year of college, unless she decides to go back, which she might decide to go back again later, but her 3-year course that she's doing right now, she will be done in April. But for her reading week so far, we haven't done anything, and we didn't generally do anything for spring break with the kids. We like to go camping, so generally my husband and I have always saved our vacation for using in the summertime to go camping. And since it's still too cool in the spring to go camping, we don't do much for spring break. We just, when the kids were little, I used to sign them up for programs to have something to do for the week. Then when they got older, sometimes they used to help me out with work or hang out with their friends. My daughter did go away one year for the week during spring break, or a couple years she did. But we didn't go as a family then. She went with her girl guy group or something like that. So, but that's, even when I was a kid, we didn't go away for spring break. I did one year when I was in high school. I think it was in grade 9 or grade 10. My grandmother took me away for a week during March break one year. We went on a Caribbean cruise. It was a lot of fun, but that was the only time I ever went away for spring break when I was a kid either. So that is my spring fling questions. I'm kind of late in the game on this. If you haven't done this tag and you like to do it, I'd love to hear about it. Tag me in it so I can check out your video. And if you are not a YouTuber and you would like to tell me about what you like to do in the spring, I'd love to hear from you, especially what it's like where you live. I guess climate kind of interests me more than anything else. When I watch some of the other channels and I hear, you know, when they get to plant, it's like, wow, you can plant then? Like, no, we can't plant until 3rd week of May. Like, so it's very interesting, that to me. Even though I'm not a gardener, I just find it interesting how the weather changes so much earlier for other people. So anyway, so I think that's it for today. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me, and I will see you next time on Lori Hooks. Bye everyone.